Throwdown Nation, we are live on a Sunday night. We are streaming on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. All systems are go. And tonight it is my pleasure to have with me from Middle Georgia, the wild card, Dallas Kage. How you doing tonight, Dallas?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you doing?
Man, like I was telling you, it has been a tremendous weekend. And we are going to have an absolute blast tonight. I will say for anybody that's watching this live right now, if you have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat. At the very end of this thing, we will do a short viewer Q&A session, and all comments and questions will be read and answered at the end. So what we'll do is go ahead and get started with the first and the most obvious question, Dallas, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
A lot of people might not believe it, but I have been wrestling since April, only 6 to 7 months. And yeah, so far it's been pretty good.
Absolutely. Like I said, I've seen a little bit of your stuff, and you're wrestling like somebody with a lot more experience than 8 months. So kudos to you. And building on that question, who actually trained you, or who is training you? Because it's an ongoing thing, I know.
Oh yeah, I mean, the GOAT himself, AR Fox, Atlanta's champ, is literally one of the best trainers I've ever seen. Hands down the GOAT.
So you're training at WWA 4?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen AR Fox on AEW on a number of occasions, and he's an impressive guy.
Oh yeah. So. That's all you hear when he's on AEW. Crowd chanting AR Fox.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of the early stages of your training, what would you say was the most challenging part?
The most challenging part, I would say, would be just trying to remembering like mainly the moves, because we're taught like, I wouldn't say a lot, but it's a lot of things that you have to learn in wrestling and try to remember. And it's early stages is very hard to remember.
Mm-hmm. I can identify with that. For a number of years, I trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and remembering the various techniques when you're in the middle of rolling with somebody. Sometimes your mind just goes blank and you go into vapor lock. So I mean, I completely can identify with that.
Oh yeah.
But it all comes from just reps, and you start to develop muscle memory and all that good stuff. So yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Speed round. Shawn Michaels.
Heartbreak Kid, showstopper himself. Favorite.
Yep. Old HBK.
Oh yeah, WrestleMania 26. That was the only time I ever cried for wrestling. Literally. Didn't want to see him retire, but it happens.
Yeah, it happens to the best of them. We're going to be seeing Cena, having his career wind down this next year.
I know. I wish I could have got a match with him, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Too late, maybe.
Yeah. So, have you been a fan of this stuff pretty much all your life? And if so, what is your earliest wrestling related memory?
Whew. Uh, to answer the first question, yes, I have been a wrestling fan my whole life, ever since I was conscious, up here. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I was I would say my earliest memory of wrestling would be the video games actually. If you remember the OG Xbox,
Oh
WWF
yeah.
Raw. Yep. WWF Raw was like the first ever game I played, and I just fell in love with wrestling after that.
So you fell in love with wrestling as a result of gaming. That's interesting.
Yes, sir.
So was there a particular point in your life where you stopped and you looked at the TV and you said, "You know what? I think I can do this." Or was it more of just a gradual thing?
Uh, I think it was more of a, I looked at it, I'm like, I think, when I grow up, I can do this. I should be able to be a top star in the wrestling business.
Got you. Got you. So a couple of news items from this week that broke that were kind of interesting. One of them comes from New Japan Wrestling, and that is that one of their talent, a guy by the name of El Fantasmo, has been diagnosed with cancer, and he's going to be taking an indefinite leave from New Japan. I don't know if you're familiar with El Fantasmo, but he is a talented guy.
Oh yeah, I have heard of his name and I have seen clips of him, but that sucks to hear.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So definitely thoughts and prayers with El Fantasmo. And then another item that I'll go ahead and bring up right now because it's kind of a similar thing is this uh, early this past week in TNA, Chris Bay suffered a pretty serious neck injury at the post Bound for Glory TV taping. He's apparently undergone surgery, but he's facing a significant recovery period. Another really super talented guy, and all we can do is just hope for the best for him.
Yeah, all we can do is hope for the best for both of them. My thoughts and prayers
Yeah,
go up to both of them. I hate to see it because Chris Bay is actually, oh, oh, he's
yeah.
really great on the ring, really great.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I haven't seen what happened, but from what I've heard, it was completely just a routine thing. It wasn't anything special, nothing flashy. It's just one of those things, and it just sort of reestablishes in your mind, how dangerous all of this stuff can be. One little thing goes wrong, and you just never know. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, definitely prayers up for El Fantasmo and Chris Bay. Um, so, away from wrestling, Dallas, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Uh, of course, already basically kind of explained when I did start watching wrestling off of the game. So I am a big gamer at heart, of
Hmm.
course, and uh, I would say any other hobby. I just love being active. You know, I love playing basketball. Sometimes, throwing the football, anything. I just love being active.
Gotcha, gotcha. What games are you into?
I'm into like everything. Wrestling. Of course, games like Grand Theft Auto, role playing games. Uh, Big on Minecraft, of course. Top game, Apex Legends. I'm a big shooters type of guy, also. Um, yeah, I really like any game. I love Kingdom Hearts also.
Gotcha, gotcha. Speed round. Jordan Grace.
Ah, the machine. She is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I love
Yeah.
watching her wrestle though. I love like the collab that TNA and WWE did with that. That was really good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm hoping we're going to see some more of that, in the future. And I mean, I've heard talk that her contract with TNA is about over, and that she's probably WWE bound before too long. Which that's exciting because I really think there could be a lot of great matchups for her, in the Fed. So hopefully good things are coming her way.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, obviously, the name of the game is chasing the dream and getting things to the point where wrestling basically pays the bills. But are you? I'm presuming at this point you're not there yet, and that you probably have some sort of a day job. Do you have a day job, and if so, just what is it?
Um, yeah, I have a day job. I'm working on getting to the wrestling being the main thing, but I just work as a simple warehouse worker, and it
Nothing wrong with that, man.
yeah, it's pretty good. But sometimes it's like just waiting for that one chance to where I can just leave and make this the main career. It will be perfect.
Absolutely. Keep chasing that dream, man. Never let
Thank
go
you.
of it. And have any of your coworkers at the warehouse come to see you wrestle?
Not yet. I have had a couple. They check my Instagram page and let me know like they wish they could come see me, but other than that, it's like not really.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you had mentioned that your hometown is essentially Warner Robins. Um, so what is your favorite thing about Warner Robins?
Uh, whew. um, I would say mainly that is kind of like it's a town that's kind of growing into something bigger that no one probably ever seen coming, and nothing really too bad happens here other than like simple crimes, but natural disaster wise nothing really happens. No big hurricane or tornado really comes and wipes everything away. But yeah, I would say it's pretty much becoming like a second Atlanta from what I can see. Second Athens,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Yep.
Gotcha. Speed round. Since we just did Jordan Grace, we're now going to do Jonathan Gresham, her husband.
Oh yeah. I actually just seen a post on him. I believe it was a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago. He was doing a training session, I believe, with FSPW, I believe. And yeah,
Okay.
I was, yep. I was like, wish I could go.
Yeah, he's somebody that I would consider him to be a wrestler's wrestler. I mean, he is so technically skilled and so innovative and so smooth. Uh, you know, the other day I saw I can't remember which social media it was, but I saw a video that I think he posted of a date night that he had with Jordan, and basically they were sparring together in the ring for their date night,
For the day.
and man, they weren't holding back. They were going at it pretty hard. So
Oh yeah.
it was fun to watch.
This sounds like a wrestler's dream date night right there.
Pretty much, yeah. Uh, so they say that the best wrestling persona is essentially yourself turned up to 11. So tell me a bit about in ring Dallas and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
Um, I could definitely say that it's more of like a kind of fire inside, like a never give up attitude. You won't see this coming type of move inside of the ring and outside of the ring. So kind of unpredictability.
Gotcha. So tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts going into it and your thoughts coming out of it? All of that stuff. Let's hear about the very first match.
All right. First match. I'm fresh at the WWA 4, and I didn't think I was gonna get a match that night. I came in thinking I was just gonna watch, just watch, have a great time, and see what the other guys are doing and like how they do it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Fox let me know. He was like, yeah, if you want to have a match, you can. And so when Neji Ichiban showed up, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with him, you know, he kind of like paved the way for me because he made it more comfortable. Like he made me feel, how would I say it? I can't really explain it, but it made me get into the match, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't weirded out or anything. It was just like, oh, okay, I oh yeah, I can do this. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was an okay match. It wasn't bad or anything, but I really like that as my first match.
Well, it had to feel good to show up that night, not anticipating having a match and having Fox have that kind of confidence in you that he said, you can have a match if you want it. So,
Yeah, it was nice to hear, and to the fact that it was to one of the A4 legends, Neji. It was crazy.
mhm. So we've heard about the first match. Now tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
All right, that's gonna be hard because I have like a lot of favorite matches, but one I would
Well,
say it would.
narrow it down to one or two. I mean, it.
All right. I'll say my match with Grayson Pierce. I really liked the storytelling in that match and just how it went. And then also for the second one, I would go with the 6-man tag I had with me, Fox, and for Neji versus Grayson, Troy Carter, and I believe Takuri. That was a really fun match.
Cool, cool. So, news item. This one pertains actually to Ring of Honor. There are rumors over the past few days that there is a TV deal for Ring of Honor that's apparently just about to be signed. Um, there's no real details as to which network it's with, whether it's going to be on a network or whether it's going to be on a streaming service. They don't really know, but I'm really excited because I was excited when Tony Khan announced that he'd bought Ring of Honor, but then for a long time it felt like Ring of Honor has kind of been in limbo to some extent. I mean it's out there, and they're still doing shows and doing pay-per-views, but to actually get them on some sort of a TV deal again, I think is an absolutely great thing because the old school Ring of Honor, man, some great stuff. Adam Cole, you know, uh, Kevin Owens before he was Kevin Owens, back when he was Kevin Steen, Seth Rollins back when he was Tyler Black. I mean,
Oh
there is
yeah.
so much great stuff, and just hopefully having Ring of Honor back on an upswing is a great thing. How do you feel about it?
Oh yeah, I would love it. I kind of missed the. I was kind of like missing the early stages of ROH where it was like everyone was there, like El Generico, Kevin Steen, and Tyler Black. I kind of
Oh
missed that
yeah,
stage. I was kind of like a Young Bucks, Jay Lethal, Kyle O'Reilly type of era ROH. I believe they were still
yeah,
on TV then. I don't remember, but yeah,
they were. Yeah.
I would love to see
Well,
them back on TV.
it's definitely worth your time to dig around on the web and see if you can find some of the really early Ring of Honor because there is so much great stuff. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I'm excited. I really hope the rumors are true and ROH gets back on something watchable.
Oh yeah. Me too.
So let's see here. So, what is the longest distance that you have driven to get to a match?
Oof. Longest distance. I actually
Yeah.
just I just had one this weekend. I went from Warner Robins to Nashville. 5 hours, almost 6 hour drive.
Wow.
Yeah. I came back and my
Was
alternator just gave out on me.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Was it a good match?
Oh yeah. I believe
Good.
I had around it was it was more like a well, it was at a hot sauce festival for Action, and we
Hmm.
had plenty of matches to do. I believe I did six, and they were plenty of fun.
Well, good. Good. So it was worth the alternator dying.
Basically.
Yeah. Let's see here. So speed round. Tony Nese.
Ooh. I don't even know how how to say it. That's 205 live right there. Um.
Hmm.
Oh yeah. I miss him in WWE because I feel like he had the look. He had the look, but I just don't know why they didn't, like connect on him.
Right. I mean, he's doing okay in the AEW Ring of Honor system, but like you, I feel like he's very, very underrated. I mean, I think he's not getting the push that he deserves for the level of work that he's doing. I think he deserves more and he deserves better. And hopefully one of these days somebody will agree with us and give the
Exactly.
guy a good push.
Hopefully it's ROH or
Yeah,
anything pops up for him.
absolutely. So I know the two main ways of arranging a match are either working it out with your opponent in the back or calling it in the ring. Do you have a preference yourself between the two methods? Do you prefer to work it out in the back or do you like calling it in the ring?
Um, I prefer to call in the back, but I would also love to call in the ring because I feel like it would give it a little more old school vibe to it, to where you don't have to do too much, but kind of work the crowd a little more.
Right, right. I mean, you know, I'm not a wrestler, but it seems to me really the best thing to do would be to talk it over with your opponent a little bit, have an idea of how you want to get from point A to point B. But, to an extent, still have the flexibility where you can kind of at least sort of remind each other of some things in the ring, not maybe entirely call it, but um,
Yeah,
but again, I'm not a wrestler, so I speak from no experience. But that I think that would be my preference as to how to do it.
yeah.
So, so I don't know that this is something that really necessarily applies, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And that is, if you were to have an experience where you were working in another country or another culture, how would you handle language barriers when interacting with fans or even working with your opponents?
Honestly, I don't know how I would deal with that. I think I would just I may like to play the hero role if that were to happen. The cocky English, speaker going to another
Hmm.
country. I think that would be cool. And I feel like the language barrier with the guy I'm wrestling, I feel like it shouldn't be too much of a problem because, you know, we're wrestlers. So if we show each other something, it's like, okay, we get it now.
Right, right. And wrestling is kind of a universal language of its own anyway.
Yep.
So, if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
Oof. Ah.
Interesting question, isn't
Oh yeah, that's a very
it?
hard one. Cause you see people succeed with that. Like, the Miz is really great on the mic, and he's not bad in the ring. He's good in the ring, but on the mic, he is like, you know, he could very much get you into any storyline. But I think I would
Hmm.
go with in ring wrestling. I feel like nowadays, in terms of like how social media rolls with everything now, I feel like it's probably best to be better in ring unless you're
Hmm.
in WWE or AEW or something.
Right, right. It's funny. I have asked that question in every one of these, and I've got to say that question in particular has been almost 50-50. How different people answer it. It's that has probably been the most 50-50 question, where it's a question with two options. Um, and I just find that really interesting,
Oh
um,
yeah.
that, but, you know, somebody else who is great on the mic and within the last year or so, I think has really improved a lot in his in-ring work is MJF.
Oh yeah. He
I mean, I mean, he is amazing on the mic, and when he was kind of first, getting started in AEW, I mean, he was great on the mic, but his ring work wasn't great. But I feel like in the last year, he has really worked on his in ring stuff, and the couple of matches he had with Osprey recently were absolutely amazing, and he was holding his own in the ring with Will Osprey, and not many people
oh
can
yeah.
do that. So yeah, kudos to MJF because I definitely feel like he saw a weakness in his game and really has put in some work on it. So
Oh yeah. Definitely shout out to him. I love the match. He pulled out some crazy stuff that I never thought he would do personally.
right, Right. So what, and this may not apply necessarily to you either, but it may. And I'm saying this just because you haven't been wrestling for that long. But what has been your most unusual encounter with a fan?
I haven't really had one. Not
Well, that
yet.
do it long enough, and you will. I mean, let's see here. Speed round. Orange Cassidy.
Fire. I love his gimmick. It does get a little repetitive sometimes, but I do love his gimmick.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you have a preference yourself between working heel or babyface?
If I could, I would work heel. I honestly love talking mess. I did it once already. I love talking mess to the crowd. It just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just fires you up even more. But working the baby face, it's pretty good. I actually love doing it also. But if I were to choose anyone, it would be heel.
Gotcha. Yeah, as a fan, I tend to find myself gravitating more toward the heels than I do the baby faces because I've always found heels to be more interesting characters. Um, because usually there's a backstory and there's a reason why they are the way they are. They're not being heels necessarily just to be a heel. There's a reason why they're acting the way they're acting, and getting into all of that, and getting into the psychology and the backstory behind it all, I just find that fascinating. And because of that, I've always found myself gravitating more toward them because there to me there's less opportunity for fleshing out a character as a babyface than there is as a heel. But
Yep.
again, that's just my opinion. So
Oh yeah. So speaking on that, what do you think of the Kevin Owens? He turned heel basically based off, everything he's seen. Like he sees all the baby faces going back to, the guys that were heel that turned face, and they're like, bro, did you see what they're doing? Like, I think it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
I do too. I've found that really interesting, and I'm liking the more violent side that they're letting Kevin Owens show because it reminds me of when he was Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor. That character was much more violent than anything we've seen from Kevin Owens in WWE. He when he started in WWE, he had the shirts saying, fight Owens, fight. When he was in Ring of Honor, he had shirts that said "Kill Steen, kill,"
I
and
really like
um,
way more
and
ruthless.
and yeah. So I'm interested to see where they're going with all of that, and I'm enjoying the more reality based storytelling they're doing now with Hunter and Sean running things.
Yep.
They're really doing some great storytelling, and those two guys seem to really get it, and having two guys running creative that have wrestled and know what works and what doesn't is so important. you
Oh
know
yeah.
um, so yeah, I'm definitely enjoying that, and I'm excited to see where that's going to go.
Oh yeah, me too.
So, can you share an example of a time when you've had to really improvise during a match? When something didn't go as planned or anything like that, where you've had to really change things on the fly, and how did you handle it?
There was one match where I believe I was supposed to go for like apron running shooting star, but the guy wasn't down, so I like kicked him, and there's a clip of it on my Instagram. I kicked him, and then I went over to the other side, and I just moonsaulted onto the chairs. That was not supposed
Mm.
to happen. Not at all.
Gotcha, gotcha. It looks like you know like I was saying to you before we went live. Your style seems to involve a lot of the high flying type stuff, and you know and again, I'm speaking from somebody with no experience doing any of that kind of stuff, but it seems to me that to pull off a lot of those type of techniques, you really have to believe you're gonna do it and really commit to it. Otherwise, if you don't commit, you're going to end up hurting yourself or hurting your partner, your opponent. Um,
Exactly.
as so, would you say that's pretty accurate?
Oh yeah, that's very accurate. That's like one thing you also learn from like a trainer or anything. They'll let you know don't do moves you're not gonna feel confident in doing. So like if you do anything, like you better have like some steel down there to be able to just pull it off or anything.
Right, right. Um, has has there been any technique that you've learned while training that initially scared you and now you love it?
Um, it's actually a lot. I was scared of doing a tope. I was scared of 450s, moonsaults. Like I've landed back handsprings when I was a kid, but I was also always scared of just full sending a backflip. I Doing the
Hmm.
moonsault and being able to like learn that it was great.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So let's see here. Speed round. Mick Foley.
Ah, I knew it. Knew he was coming. Oh yeah, I love watching him. The different characters, and then watching his documentary was like very inspirational to me because he
Hmm.
was like it took him like a year to get good, a year or two to get good into the business until he really caught on to like the in-ring wrestling. Like he said in the documentary, he was good at character, but his in-ring sucked. So he just had to, work on it. And that was very inspirational to me.
Right, right. That one Royal Rumble where he basically came out three times as Cactus
Yep.
Jack, as Mankind, and then as Dude Love.
Yep.
That was hilarious. I mean,
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, that was a great moment. News item. So this one pertains to AEW, and it's the rumor that will not go away. Speculation is continuing that Shane McMahon is going to be arriving in AEW sometime in the near future. Some people are saying that he could show up at Full Gear later this month, and some are saying at World's End at the end of December, and some are saying the whole thing is a red herring and he's never coming. What are your thoughts? Do you think we'll see Shane McMahon in AEW?
Ah, how wrestling is now, I feel like he would come. I feel like he probably could come at World's End, maybe. But you know, if anything, I don't think it would happen because it's not like a WCW thing where they like bought him out and then
Right.
yeah.
Right. I could see potentially him being tied in somehow with this storyline John Moxley has going, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that they need him, but it would definitely get people talking. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, so we'll just have to see. So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that you could have watched it a million times and it just never really gets old, and there's always some new little nugget you can pull from it, even though you've watched it a million times.
Uh, I would probably say honestly maybe the No Mercy John Cena, Dean Ambrose, and AJ Styles match,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yes.
any Dolph
Speaking of
Ziggler
John
match.
Moxley.
Yeah, basically. Mainly that match. I really liked how they did the triple threat and like the spots that were in it, and I could like now that I'm a wrestler, I could like see what was going on in the match, and I could call it from like spot to spot.
Right. Right. So, in terms of your in-ring work and your promos, who or what would you say are some of your influences? And it can be other wrestlers, it can be pop culture, any of that type of stuff. Who has helped make Dallas Cage Dallas Cage?
Whew. This is actually a pretty long list. Of course, you got AR Fox with the in ring and on mic ability.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels, of course, in ring and basically how he played the heel. I loved it, and back in the '90s and everything, it was just perfect to me. The Miz, I love his mic work. Uh, Anything like if I wanted to be anybody with like any mic skills, it would probably be the Miz because he will get you very angry at him. I've actually hated
Mm-hmm.
him. I've hated him when I was in elementary school, but when I got to like middle school, I'm like, oh, he's not bad. Uh, Dean Ambrose, of course, John Moxley, definitely. I
Mm-hmm.
love the lunatic character. That was
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite.
Uh, that guy is intense. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
loved it. And before I forget, Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, and AJ Styles, of
mhm.
course. Can't forget AJ.
Oh yeah. No, another Georgia boy.
Oh yeah.
So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would Dallas Cage love to work?
uh, hey, I want to be able to catch AJ before he retires. If I can, I want to be able to catch him before he retires.
Well, based on what I've seen, I think you and AJ could tear the house down.
Thank you.
And I mean, he's getting up there in years for a wrestler, but I still feel like he's got a little more in the tank, so hopefully he'll stick around for at least a couple more years, so hopefully you can make your way in there and bag a match with him.
Oh yeah, prepared for it.
Hmm. So, you're a pretty young guy and you haven't been doing this that long, so this may not apply. But what hurts right now? Does anything hurt?
Um, Nothing at the moment. Maybe like my lower back sometimes. Not all the time, but that's mainly it.
Gotcha. And this also may not apply, but I'll ask it anyway. And that is, what is the most significant injury that you've suffered either wrestling or training?
Oh, I actually had a bruised jaw one time, and oh, it was bad.
How'd that happen?
I took a PK right to my jaw.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it hurt bad. It happened early on in the match and I finished it, but after my face swelled, like it just swole. It was swollen bad.
No doubt, no doubt. Speed, speed round. Dusty Rhodes.
Fire. Mr. Polka Dots himself. I love his
Yeah.
gear. You hear a lot of things about him, around like the Georgia area, the southern actually, just the big
Mm-hmm.
South. Like you hear about him a lot, and like everything he's done for like wrestling and NWA and everything is crazy.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's been cool seeing Cody, have the success that he's having, and be able to do some of the things that, because of booking decisions at the time, that Dusty was never able to officially win a belt in WWF at the time. And it's just really cool to see Cody get to do some of that in his dad's honor. So
Oh yeah, that and Goldust too. Actually, been able to collect the tag titles in AEW. I think that was pretty good.
absolutely. So what are your thoughts in general on the current state of the business?
It's kind of mixed. I don't really like the social media side to where it's like kayfabe is kind of being broken a little, and like the fans are into it a little more. And I don't know how I feel on that personally, but it happens. But yeah, I feel like it's doing really good, especially the peak of it. The Roman Reigns bloodline, that was, oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll agree with you. To some extent about what you were saying about social media and the dirt sheets and everything else. It's hard to keep kayfabe, and it's also hard as can be to keep a secret and keep surprises from leaking out.
Oh yeah.
So on the rare occasion that they can truly pull off a surprise anymore, it's exciting.
Oh yeah.
uh, when something happens that nobody sees coming, and like I said, it's almost impossible to do now with social media and the dirt sheets
Exactly.
and people saying, I saw this guy in this airport and he's in town. Um, so it's but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And like I was saying to you, before we went live, right now is such an exciting time to be a fan.
Oh yeah.
There is so much wrestling out there, and there's only so many hours a week to watch wrestling. That is, you've actually got to prioritize what you're going to watch and what you're not going to watch. Uh,
Exactly.
but and I like all of it for different reasons. It's uh, there is a style of wrestling out there for everybody,
Yep.
and you don't have to like all of it, but the tribalism among fans right now is something I find kind of discouraging, where people are like, I'm an AEW fan, so I hate anything WWE does, or vice versa, or, you know, like what you like, but, don't pull for a company to fail
Yeah,
just because they're not your company. Um,
exactly.
so, but I'll get off my soapbox on that. Uh, tribalism among fans is just kind of a pet peeve of mine. So,
Yeah.
so, do you currently have, I guess, for lack of a better term, an arch nemesis? Somebody that is sort of the person that you have really good chemistry with in the ring, that you like being on the opposite side with. So do you have somebody like that you enjoy working against?
Um, definitely. Anybody in the Fade area at WWE 4 and Grayson Pierce, like I don't know, he just brings out like that fire in you. He kind of reminds me of like a younger Shawn Michaels.
Oh, that's high praise.
Oh yeah,
I'll have to try to get him on the show.
definitely.
So, you're still a pretty young guy, um, but knowing everything that you know now, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Um, study wrestling a little more, like the history, and start a little bit earlier. I feel like I started a little later because I like didn't really know what I kind of wanted to do after high school, but yeah, just start a little earlier and gain a little bit more knowledge on wrestling so I can come in a little more prepared than I was.
Gotcha. And this kind of ties in with that, but do you have any advice for any young folks that are looking to break into the business, aside from seek out AR Fox?
aside, aside from that, I guess if you do choose any school, just listen and learn and actually like try to put your ego aside at practice so you can get better in ring rather than having an ego during practice and now it's like you're holding everybody back because even yourself because you're not trying to learn anything, you just think you're good at everything.
Gotcha. So, we sort of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'll ask this anyway, and it's kind of a two-part question, and that is, do you have an absolute favorite move to do, something you really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do, or at least would rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
Okay. um I would say my favorite move to do at the moment honestly would probably be something simple. I really love doing the 450. I don't know why. Like I don't usually land it. I'll usually like land it on my feet and like I'll usually get like burned out or something. Like somebody would just knock me out right after. But I love doing the 450. Um, a move I just can't do right now. I can't bring myself to do is the imploding 450, the 054, the Mustafa
Mm,
Ali. Yeah, I would love to do that move. I just can't bring myself to do it. And one
absolutely.
move, oh yeah, one move I hate taking. Well, since I'm early, I don't really have a move I hate taking. Probably a big spine buster. That
Hmm.
first time I took it at practice, knocked the wind out of me.
I believe it. I believe it. Um, my opinion, I think Arn Anderson had the best spine buster of all time. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've studied Arn Anderson, you know he was Mr. Spinebuster back in the day, and
Oh yeah, I seen
man,
it. Oh yeah.
man, he was. Um, somebody else I could see you having some great matches with is Ricochet.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I think you guys, your styles might actually kind of cancel each other out, but I mean, it would be fun to watch,
Yeah.
or a or a triple threat with you, Ricochet, and Osprey.
That would be crazy.
That'd be wild, man.
I would love it, actually.
So, do you have any pre-match traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Um, Usually I'll mainly like jog kind of back and forth, like getting the adrenaline like pushing through me. Or,
Hmm.
like while I'm doing that, I'll usually like if you remember CM Punk's old theme song, This Fire Burns. I usually just
Yeah,
like sing that to myself in my head, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get myself pumped.
gotcha, gotcha. Well, something that we've done in all of these, and it's just been kind of fun, is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So, my previous guest was a guy named Jason Dugan, who he's a wrestler down in Florida, and he's also the co-owner of Atomic Legacy Wrestling in Central Florida. Um, and he posed the question, since you're working in a predetermined sport where, everything is kind of orchestrated to one degree or another, do championships and wins actually matter in a predetermined sport?
Hmm. Uh,
I thought it was an
I don't.
interesting question too.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but I don't really think it matters. I believe it's more on like how the story you can tell through the win and losses. Like, say if you're losing, how would you be able to make your opponent look so good while also making you look good also?
Right, right. And, there is an art to making both participants in a match look like $1 million. And
Exactly.
and I mean, if it's done well and done properly, man, it's a thing of beauty. Because the right worker can take loss after loss after loss, and it's not going to hurt their standing with the fans and their overall standing in the company. They just get known as a good worker.
And that's why I love Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler so much. He was taking so many L's in WWE. The perfection character, his heel character. I hated him at first, but he grew on me through the years, and you know, I just felt like he should have deserved maybe a couple more, a longer reigns than he did with the world titles.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Right. Yeah, I've really been enjoying his work in TNA recently, and also, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to listen to Busted Open Radio, um, but he usually on Fridays he is a co-host on the Busted Open radio show on Sirius XM, and he's usually in there with Dave LaGreca, who is the primary host, and usually he's in there with one or two others, and he is actually a really personable, really smart guy with a lot of insight on the business. So I always look forward to hearing at least a little bit of it on Friday and just hearing what Nick's got to say.
Oh yeah, I definitely got to start checking him out because he's like one of my, inspirations for wrestling. He really got me back into it. So it was just like, I definitely got to start checking out those.
So we're getting toward the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
There's one show that I have booked. It's on November 30th for DWA. Um, I have to check my phone real quick to see where it is, but I believe it's in like Griffin, Georgia. And yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Um, so as far as what we've got coming up this week on Wednesday, November 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern, um, I've got episode 46 of the Throwdown, and my guest that night is going to be another Georgia-based wrestler, the Big Don Cameron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's another. I believe he's another WWA 4 guy.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's really good. It's I love his character. I love his theme song. It's just like such an attachment like to a character is crazy.
And then on Thursday, the 7th, also at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be live with episode 47, and that night I'm going to have a Florida-based wrestler, the entitled millennial Forrest Nystrom. And he is a character. I'm definitely looking forward to having him on. I actually had kind of his arch rival on recently, and Forrest managed to figure out a way to actually invade the stream, and and he showed up in the middle of things, and they got to talking smack to each other, so it was
I like it.
kind of fun. So yeah, so we'll see what happens on Thursday. You never know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. But Dallas, I want to thank you for your time. This has been an absolute blast. I do have a quick question I'll ask you, and that is, where did the wild card moniker come from?
I promise I didn't steal it from Bobby, but I actually got it from I'm a big anime watcher, so I got it from this anime manga called Blue Lock. It's a character called Kunigami, and he kind of went through these stages where he lost, and he went through a wild card stage, which is kind of like a second chance stage, and he came out, and that was just kind of like his nickname now, the wild card Kunigami, and I thought it was a pretty cool character, and I was like, okay, maybe if I can like turn this into a wrestling character, how would it do?
Gotcha. I'm actually looking through the chat right now just to see if we've got any comments, and actually Edward Draven is in the chat, and he just said that he's a big Dallas Cage fan.
Oh yeah, and I'm a big Edward fan.
And WWA4 is actually in the chat, and they said, "Hey yo,"
Hey, yo.
and that you would put them in the blender, and it's Travis 3000 says hello, and
Sir.
Jay Tyler 5200 says shout out to my boy Dallas.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Jay Tyler, man. Shout out to the guys at Fade
Well,
area.
absolutely. And, you know, I've got to say to everybody that's been watching this live, thank you. You know, if you like what we've got going here, please spread the word. This thing is really taking on a life of its own. I'm completely booked up for the month of November, and I'm already starting to have slots filling up for December. The second half of December, the show is actually going to go into hiatus for a couple of weeks for the holidays, but we'll be returning with a vengeance, you know, after the first of the year. So definitely excited about that. If y'all have a second, definitely check out my link tree, which has my other socials. I'm actually putting the QR code for my link tree up on the screen. It's got all of my different social media. So if you wouldn't mind just checking all that stuff out and just you know, following me on my other social media, that would be great. And so anyway, so like I said, you know, I will be back Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern with Don Cameron, and then on Thursday with Forrest Nystrom. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your night. Be safe, love each other, and keep throwing down.